Hello, everyone. My name is Jhoser Salazar. I'm the clarinet player at Aura, a contemporary music ensemble at the University of Houston in Texas. I'm here today with Nina Shekhar. We're going to ask her some questions about the piece Honk If You Love Me, which is the piece we are recording for the next week's project. Yeah, welcome, Nina. Nina is in Michigan right now. And first, Nina, I want to thank you for letting us perform your piece and make some audiovisual footage on top of it. Thank you. So I have
Yeah,
two.
thank you so much for including my piece in the series.
I really enjoyed playing that piece, and I have a few questions for you. So the first question is, when was the piece composed, and what was the initial thought about the piece? How the piece came to be?
Yeah, so I initially wrote this piece, I think back in 2019, 2018, 2019, for an ensemble called Third Angle New Music. They're an ensemble based in Portland. And it was a concert that was featuring Indian American composers and myself, I'm an Indian American. Um, and so this piece I wrote kind of based off of my identity. And in India, one of the most obvious things that people notice unless you're from there is that the traffic works so differently than it does in other countries. And they don't always have lanes or anything. There's also like so much people in the street and different vehicles. And part of that, even though it makes it really chaotic sometimes and kind of scary when you're driving in the road, but something that's interesting is that even like the car horn noises that they use are so crazy and kind of wild and exciting and fun. And they don't even use horns the same way that they do like for here in the States. um, here in the States, if you honk, everybody thinks you're angry at them, but there they just
Right.
honk just to say, oh, here, I'm next to you. And it's like this crazy happy, like happy birthday sound or something. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then just to say, oh, I'm here, hi, I'm passing. And so it's just like the whole system of traffic just operates totally different, and it's kind of beautiful and happy. And even though it's like a crazy way of navigating so much crowd in a street.
Right. So this is my second question. So the piece has like the very definite sections, right? So the first one is more angular, more rhythmic. Then we have like more like a slower section, more lyrical, and then we come back to this like I see like I'm kind of a combination between the first section, like the both styles. Like it's a fast tempo, but at the same time there's like this the tape underneath. It's like not very angular. It's more like very malleable, right? And then we have the last section, which is even more cantabile, and so we add these all delay effects. So, for example, the first section is very clear for me that it's like transit, but at the end, what were you thinking about in this all like very smooth sounds? And what is the tape telling us at the very end of the piece, for example?
Yeah, so when we think about even just kind of the individuality of like if you honk your horn in the street versus kind of this overall texture that you're part of. If there's constant barrage of noise and traffic sounds and other sounds that are going on, it becomes this like composite texture that's made up of all these individual people, making their own sounds. And so, when I was envisioning this piece, I kind of wanted to play off of that idea of these individual, like the angularity of the sounds that you notice when you hear these, you know, specific, like crazy horn sounds. But then it becomes this beautiful, like sonic landscape, right? When it's so many noises combined. And, there's this sort of individualism in it, but then there's also this, like, you're part of this community that is operating in this certain way. And so the kinds of contrast in the sections of the piece, between these more angular, pointed, more rhythmic parts, which is kind of more the individual side of, these sounds. But then it's also combined with these like overall sonic landscape. When all these sounds get smeared together, what does that sound like? and if you're part of this community, and thinking, kind of zooming out rather than zooming in into a particular person.
Right. Awesome. So now a quick word about the name. Honk if you love me.
Yeah, so I think I was inspired by bumper car or bumper stickers on cars, and they always have these kinds of like blank or honk if you whatever, or some kind of, or sometimes like different kinds of sounds like that. So then I was thinking of kind of a play off those bumper car or bumper stickers on cars, and yeah, so it's kind of like honk, and then it's like love me. It's kind of just sort of this community aspect of we're part of this larger group of people and ecosystem, and really thinking in a broad sense like that.
So it goes more. It goes beyond more romantic kind of view of the things to more like a community kind of love, or just
Right.
sense of community.
Exactly.
I see.
hmm
Oh, another question. This is a little bit more technical. So the piece, I wouldn't say it's virtuosic, but it's very demanding for the instrument. Like it has a lot of effects. Some of them are very challenging actually to play. So how why did you choose the clarinet? And so did you get any help from other clarinet players to design these effects?
Yes. So, the initial commission when I was doing for third angle was clarinet and electronics. And so I worked a little bit with the clarinetist from that ensemble, Lou De Martino. Um, but then later on, other clarinetists wanted to play it also. And, so this piece has actually kind of had a life like after just when I wrote it. And, I think based off of different performers' comfortability with techniques, and also a lot of the stuff that's in there are things like multiphonics or other kinds of timbral effects, and there's a lot of leeway depending on the performer, depending on the instrument, what is possible. And so I kind of have built in this sort of system with this piece and some other pieces that are kind of virtuosic in my portfolio, um, to kind of have the performer have some leeway in terms of what they want to be able to play, how can they make it work for them and their instrument. And also, of course, with the electronics in this piece, like even just that extra setup is kind of challenging. Some even now with the pandemic setting, getting something performed like that, it versus in a normal live concert setting. So I think it's important for composers that we kind of have this sort of like we think about that and keep that in mind whenever we're writing something, so that it's not just me putting something out there, the performer should be able to put something of themselves into the piece too. So that's kind of what I love, that when I work with performers, that every piece keeps changing, and that makes me learn a lot too.
Right. And I have one last question for you, Nina. So what are you doing right now? What are you currently working on? Are you composing any pieces?
Yes, I am composing too many pieces to be honest. But yeah, I'm working on right now I'm doing a sax and piano piece for Tim McAllister, the saxophonist. And then I'm doing a piece for Alarmal Sound, a group that is currently in residence in University of Missouri. And then I'm doing a piece for the Crossing Choir, which is a group in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I right now I'm in Michigan for the pandemic, where I grew up in my family home. But I'm currently a doctoral student at Princeton, so whenever things open up, I'll move there. So yeah, it's a crazy time to be composing during a pandemic, but
No.
I'm happy to be having projects.
Right. I mean, it looks like you have a lot on your plate. So,
Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like during the pandemic, I don't know, I'm grateful for this, but I feel like my workload has picked up like exponentially. So,
right. Well, Nina,
yeah.
thank you very much. Again, I told you this already, but I really enjoyed playing your piece. It was a challenge, but a good challenge. I learned a lot from it, and I hope you like the footage. For the people that is watching the interview, Nina hasn't seen the video yet, so I hope you like it. We put a lot of work into it, and yeah, I'll talk to you in different occasion. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to see the video, and thank you so much for performing.
It was a pleasure for us.